Everything good in life is forged on the anvil of adversity. We want to start a movement of high achievers that have the courage to fashion a life of greatness. A movement of those brave enough to face the fires of self-improvement on the journey to peak expression. Smiths build things. Smiths get the job done. We are All Smiths. Welcome to the All Smith Project, where greatness is forged, not found. Move fast and break shit. LSKD develops functional sportswear with a streetwear aesthetic that's on a mission to inspire you to chase the vibe through sport, fitness, and adventure. I train daily in the rep shorts and love the versatility they offer. The zipper pocket is an absolute game changer. I go from training at the gym directly to meetings, running errands, or prepping for podcasts. The LSKD tribe has become true family, and we are excited to continue to develop our community. Shop now at lskd.com and use code ALLSMITH. We chase the vibe here at AllSmith. Let's all become 1% better every day. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the All Smith Project. Today's guest is a father, a husband, a business owner, and a disruptor. He's providing freedom without compromise via education, exercise, and mentorship. And he is the founder of Active Life, which is a business that is adjacent to both fitness and healthcare. Today, I'd like to introduce Dr. Sean Pastuch. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. That was a good intro.
I love doing the intro, man. I love it and hate it at the same time because I like highlighting the guest, but I did an episode recently with Carl Paoli, and we talked about deconstructing titles and all the things that come with like the letters after people's names and, you know, this job title. At the end of the day, we're all humans, but you've done some cool stuff, man. I've been a big fan of yours for a long time, so thanks for carving out some time to join me today.
It's my pleasure. And I don't want to derail whatever you have planned, but I do want to speak to what you just mentioned, and that is the deconstruction of titles. I was an adamant deconstructor of titles when our company started to get off of the ground. And one of our team members, who I have a ton of respect for, came to me and explained that the lack of titles for our team members makes it difficult for people to know who they're supposed to go to for what. And my thought was, well, it's not a hierarchy. Like, we do have people who have more influence, but that's only because they've earned more influence, not because of the name that we put on their job description. And her response to that was, that's all great. But if we want it to stop being confusing, if we want people from other companies to understand who at our company they're talking to, it would be valuable for us to create titles that make it clear who you go to for what and when. And yeah, it was a good influence. I was happy that she made it on me.
Yeah, I think that's really healthy. And the conversation I had with Carl Paoli about it was very similar. That's honestly one of my favorite things about conversations and podcasting is that, like, you can come in with this like strong-armed opinion, but then on the across from me on the other side of the table, it's like, if you make a really healthy argument, I'm like, I'm malleable enough to be open to what you're sharing. And I think both of you guys make a great case in point there around it creates organization. It creates structure. It allows you to compartmentalize the roles and responsibility of certain individuals and doesn't have to be directly related to the level of respect that you may provide for somebody. And so I think you make a really healthy point there. And I'm excited to unpack a lot of your story and a lot of your mind today. And with it being Thanksgiving week and a week of gratitude, man, I just really have to point out, you and your team posted something that I want to share with our audience. I feel like it's a great place for us to kickstart our conversation today, and that is the best coaches in the USA are setting their clients up to enjoy Thanksgiving, not be afraid of the calories in grandma's mashed potatoes. Connection is greater than calories. I fucking love that. And I want to hear your thoughts on that a little bit.
The first thing I want to do is I want to give credit to the team member who wrote it. It wasn't me. That's Lance Enerson, who has been a value add to our company in every position he's ever been in. And I think in a lot of ways, he exemplifies what we stand for as a company for our company. He came on as a RX coach, a one-on-one pro helping our clients get out of pain without going to the doctor or missing the gym from anywhere in the world. That was his job. He did it instead of being a physical therapist. He had his license and he just enjoyed it more than practice. Then he grew tired of that. It became a lot of the same thing and he wanted to get more into the education side. So we started building curriculum for us and educating our students on how to be the coaches who provide those kinds of results for their clients. Then that became something that he fell out of love with it. And I want to be clear, he did all of these things for an extended period of time. It's not as if he a week here, a week there, right? He's dedicated. And where he has found himself recently inspired to help us is through our social media and our email. He's really good with language. He's got the right size chip on his shoulder and he understands our company deeply. And so the post that you just mentioned that he wrote and shared today is a reflection of what we think of ourselves as. We think of ourselves as a personal development company disguised as a health, fitness, and business company. Because our thought process is that we don't need to teach you what to do if we can help you decide who to be. Because once you decide who you want to be, you will start acting as that person. And once you start acting as that person, you will start having the things that that person has. So instead of attacking it from the bottom up, we attack it from the top down.
I really like that approach, man. I think I heard you say it before in relation to the methodology and the ethos of active life, and that is you're not selling solutions. You're buying problems.
Mm-hmm.
Did I say?
We don't sell our solutions to clients. We buy their problems. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting approach that would definitely resonate with a lot of the fitness industry right off the bat. Will you dive into that ethos a little bit and help me better understand that?
I don't think it resonates with the fitness industry. Really? I do think it resonates with the fitness client. And what it means is typically when somebody comes to a gym, the thought process is this is a warm body who's interested, we should sell them. And if you dig down, there's a belief there that we should sell them because we can help them. And there's virtue in that. There's all of the things that we want are in that thought process. I'm less interested in could they get what they're looking for here? And I'm much more interested in is this the place they are most likely to get what they are looking for? And
that's how I definitely look at it for sure.
I believe that. I believe most of the industry believes they can help everybody. I made a post today that I haven't been as proud of our company and our clients in a while as I was about a post I made today on my page that will get no love, no attention, because it's just not a sexy post. It was a screen grab with permission of one of our clients, an active life professional candidate who's working in a ProPath gym where we educate both the gym owner and their staff. And she was talking about a consult that she had with a new prospect this week. And the consult ended with her, instead of offering a membership to this person, she made a connection for them to a local outpatient alcohol rehabilitation clinic. The guy told her this was one of the most useful conversations I've had in adulthood. And he thanked her for her integrity. That's what it's about. My fear, Bryce, when we talk about, is it a fitness industry thing? Like, do they resonate? I think most of the fitness industry would rather get that person off of alcohol themselves. They'd rather say this person did a bunch of wall balls and quit drinking. It's like, well, sure. But what about the other 99 people who did a bunch of wall balls and didn't quit drinking? If we're going to celebrate the ones who did, we need to acknowledge the ones who didn't and perhaps look for a better solution for them.
That's hey.
Yeah. The area where I split the hair, Bryce, is the level of self-awareness that I believe most people do or do not have in the fitness industry. And my thought is that there's a lack of awareness as to the things that we are just not the best to help people with. And I say we collectively because there are things that Active Life isn't the best to help people with. If you want to go to the CrossFit Games, we're not the company to come to do that. But if you walk into a CrossFit gym and you say, I'm 350 pounds and I need to be closer to 180 for me to be healthy and walking around, the CrossFit gym believes it's the best place for you to do that. I think that's insanity because your gym isn't set up for that person. There's a subset of that person for whom you are. Typically, it's going to be the one who played sports growing up, the one who is used to being uncomfortable in a room full of people who are also uncomfortable. But the things that lead people to being 350 pounds, generally speaking, lead them to also being somebody who is not likely to find the results that they are looking for inside of a CrossFit gym. The evidence to that is the scarcity of people who weigh 350 pounds walking into CrossFit gyms. They immediately disqualify themselves as the right client for that market. But the market keeps coming out and saying, no, we are right for you. Well, if you want to be right, you need to change something so that they agree. It's exactly the analogy that you were describing about the butterfly. The person who today, an industry like CrossFit, markets to is the butterfly. And then they run after it. They don't simply become something that the butterfly wants because they think they already are. And then they wonder, why do all the butterflies fly away from me? It's because you're not something the butterfly wants. Why not? Because you're unlikely to get the butterfly the results that it's looking for. Why? That's a great question.
I like the way you said that. I also think it's really interesting how in fitness, everybody believes that their way is the best way. And having humble access to different forms of fitness, I think, is where the magic kind of happens, where Peloton's going to work for some people. CrossFit is going to work for some people. Functional bodybuilding is going to work for some people. But there's also methodologies and principles that we can all gather from these different forms of fitness to create a customized approach to the 350-pound person that may have this preconceived notion or a story associated with why or why not a certain form of fitness is going to work. And you did that very well, where it's like, hey, I'm just going to add so many tools to my toolbox. That way I have access to them when I need them. I can call audibles. I can have predetermined planned. I can do what I want when I want. And when I find that it's not the right fit, I'm also going to have access to an amazing network that I can refer people to. I think that's an amazing mindset to have. And that way it's not this, once again, a title, right? The title of CrossFit can be the selling point, right? Or the buying point also. Well, necessarily the term. And you think, I'm here to help. That's a different conversation. And that is absolutely different language that can then make or break the relationship you have with the service orientation with the client.
Bryce, one of my biggest contentions with the fitness industry is that it is riddled with methodologies. And in order to be a methodology, you have to be sycophantic about defending it, which means you cannot acknowledge a flaw within your methodology. Because if you do, the rest of the methodology is built upon that flaw. So then the rest of the methodology is thereby flawed. We live in silos. Active life is not a methodology. We are a mindset. If you walk into our flagship location right down the block from here, you'll find people doing workouts that look like CrossFit. You'll find people doing workouts that look like functional bodybuilding. You'll find people doing workouts that look like Pilates. You'll find people doing workouts that look like exactly what they need, because we're agnostic to the method that gets used to solve the problem that the client has. The only thing that matters is that the client's problem gets solved, not what method gets credit for it. Mm-hmm. So the beautiful thing about being in that world is I'm able to say, that's a better way. I'm just going to do that now. And nobody has to look at us and say, but you told me for 20 years that I should go fast. Yeah, I was wrong. Sometimes you should. I can do that because I'm not the purveyor of the methodology. I didn't suggest this is the best way to do everything. And therefore, if I change my mind, everything I said before is false. I'm telling you from the very beginning, my job is to put us out of business with a better version of us. So we're going to keep looking for a better way to do the same thing that we're doing today. That a methodology can't do that.
I love that, man. I love the thought process there. Just to give people context, what is the mission statement of Active Life?
Empower a life of freedom without compromise. So
when you about compromise, what specific things and elements are you referring to?
I feel like I just walked into a strip club in my teens. You're turning me on. I'm talking about compromise that people make in every element of their life. So, for example, the vacation that we don't go on because we've decided that we can't afford it. We've decided that we can't afford it because we work a job that doesn't make us enough money to afford it. We've decided that we can't get that job for whatever reason. So we've decided that this is the best that life is going to get. And that's a compromise. We've decided that this is as fit as I can be. This is just how my body looks. This is my genetics. When we know that the reality is that's not true, but there's a lot of hard work and sacrifice and commitment between here and there. So instead of putting through that work, we decide to compromise on the way our body is going to look, feel, perform. We know our relationship could be better, but I'm afraid to say the thing that might upset my wife, because if she's upset, she might leave me. I'm in a relationship that's not as good as it could be, but it's better than not having a relationship, so I compromise. These are areas of life that people are constantly telling themselves, it's okay, this is good enough, and it's not. If we talk to the person who says my relationship is what it is because I'm afraid if I say this other thing, it could end, who is the person that you need to become who could say that thing and not only maintain the relationship, but make it better? Who is the person that you need to become so that the body that you want is the body that you have without needing to bounce around from workout to workout, diet to diet, but you're sustainably that person? Who is the person you need to become that gets the job or creates the business that makes you the money, that affords you the life that you believe right now is out of reach? Because everybody who has it once didn't. So it's a matter of compromise to decide we're just not going to pursue those things anymore. And my belief around compromise is that only 3 things cause it. The first is unawareness. So you could be unaware that you're compromising. I have empathy for that person. They don't even know that they could live a better life. They've never met someone who lives a better life. That's unawareness. Once you're made aware, it bifurcates. Once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. The only other 2 reasons that you would continue to compromise is 1, you're scared. You're afraid you can't have what you want and you're going to die on the vine trying. Or 2, you're lazy and you'd rather settle for the comfort of your current state of average and mediocrity than pursue something excellent because that's hard and you don't do hard things. You're lazy. I don't see a 3rd reason.
The Trident family taught me something really important this last year, that we are all a bundle of stories, both good, bad, and everything in between. All of their cold brews remind their customers that they are part of something bigger than themselves. I start my day with the Sweet Cream Cold Brew as I am prepping my mind and body for fitness, service, coaching, and podcasting. With various locations in San Diego, they offer over 14 nitro cold brews and a variety of specialty drinks. You can find the perfect brew and pair it with one of their treats from the Keto Bakery. You can check them out over at tridentcoffee.com and use code ALLSMITH to take your coffee experience to the next level. The number one thing holding us back is the story that we tell ourselves. And what I love about what you guys are doing is you're helping people visualize and metaphorically see that story to then add some perspective to allow for the changing of the story. Hey, you said that you have this goal. Let's backtrack and create landmarks and actionables so that we can move the needle in the right direction rather than staying in this place of comfortable complacency.
Yes.
Described as the region beta paradox. And that is, you're in this spot right here and you're working this job. It pays the bills. It's not really lighting your heart on fire, but it gets you to the weekend. You can spend some money going out to dinner with some friends. You're pretty good at what you do. There's not a ton of growth potential. You don't really like who you're working with, but it's there. It exists. It's mediocrity, but I'm comfortable with where I'm at right now. But then all of a sudden, new ownership comes in. They're micromanaging you. They're threatening to change your pay. They're trying to push you a little bit, and you're just stuck in this land of comfortable complacency until finally the pain is so bad that you either level up or you quit. And that's the thing associated with this concept of the region beta paradox, where it's like, pain seems to be the number one integrator that gets people to change. And you do a very great job of understanding that, where people aren't just coming in to lose weight. They're not coming in just to get stronger. There's a story there. Was there bullying in their childhood? Is there pain in their knee so bad that they can't walk up a flight of stairs where they feel like their freedom's being taken away? Did they not take that vacation, not just because of money, but because they didn't like the way they looked with their shirt off? There's more to it. And you and your team do a great job of taking a shovel, digging into that a little bit to better understand, as Simon Sinek would say, find the why.
Well, Bryce, I have a question for you.
Bring
How do you define pain? You described the number one motivator for people is pain.
Mm-hmm.
How do you describe it?
I think it's case dependent of the scenario, but it's you no longer can manage being in the current circumstance any longer.
Okay. So the way that we define pain is it's a negative emotion associated with irritation and made worse by uncertainty. When pain is described as an emotion, which I genuinely believe that it is, I think that any argument to the contrary misunderstands what's going on. Then yeah, the emotional pain can be the driver. Physical pain, I've never seen drive anyone to do anything. And I'll share an example there. People are in physical pain oftentimes, and it can be misunderstood that that's the reason that they're taking an action. You break your leg, you go to the doctor. Well, obviously I went to the doctor because my leg was broken and I was in pain. No. If you thought that was going to resolve on its own, would you have gone to the doctor? No. What was your fear about what would happen if it didn't resolve? I'd be in a wheelchair, my leg would never work again. That's why you went to the doctor, not the pain. Everybody we know has experienced a toothache and not gone to the dentist. It's not until that toothache starts giving you a headache and you're not able to focus at work anymore that you decide, I'm going to go to the dentist now. That might be a reach for some people, but it's I'm going to change jobs. It's not because the job you have hurt so much. It's because you're afraid of the life you're going to lose out on by staying at that job. It's fear. It's fear-based. So the pain leads to fear. If the pain doesn't lead to fear, very rarely is action taken.
Most people come from some sort of disruption in their life that forced them to level up at some point. And you have done a great job owning your story and being like, hey, I come from two amazing parents. They were present. They loved me unconditionally. They led me down the right path. Mm-hmm. And, your job was just don't screw it up. Take those things to the next level, motivate, inspire, entertain, and educate those around you to then do something great and leave the world a little bit better than when you found it. Mm-hmm. Will you help me understand a little bit more of your childhood and what this intrinsic motivation is for you to keep trying to do great things without the societal narrative of I come from nothing in this rags to riches story that we've heard time and time again?
So to give people a little bit of a lay of the land, I grew up a Jewish kid on Long Island, upper middle class. My father made multiple six figures a year as a chiropractor. He was beloved. He's alive. He is beloved. He coached me on every little league sport, baseball, basketball, you name it. He coached it. My mom ran a day camp that I went to, that I worked at. So I was surrounded by love all the time. And my aunts and uncles also love me. My cousins, we are the family who we can argue with each other, but you don't get to say shit about somebody from our family unless you're in our family. It doesn't matter how we all feel about each other in the moment. You step in and step out of line, we are all gathering around to protect the family member from whatever it is you think you're bringing. Our family is amazing. And I wanted for nothing growing up. So when I became an adult, which is different than becoming a man, by the way, adulthood is an age thing. Manhood is a mindset. I had no reason to want to do anything but take the torch. Why wouldn't I want to just take over my dad's practice, make a bunch of money, live an easy life? There's two things that were at play beyond anything else, I think. One is ego. And I'd be lying if I said that wasn't a big part of it. I want to be known for being great at something on my own, not for inheriting the silver spoon. Two is my father's vision helped him get out of, I guess you could describe it as poverty growing up in Brooklyn. that his life is not a life I wanted. I wanted something bigger than the life that he was able to provide to us. And I hope my kids feel the same way about me. You know, I think we're only able to think as big as our experiences. And so we need, like, if you asked me 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when I was getting this thing going, Sean, this is what your life looks like. 1 to 10, where are you? I'm a 10. You're telling me I have 3 healthy, beautiful kids. My wife is retired. I live in a great house, in a great town, with great friends, close to my family. I make enough money that my wife doesn't need to work. We have a cleaning crew that comes to the house on Fridays. Right? We go on vacations. I have great staff at Active Life, a team that I can depend on. If I was gone for 3 months, nobody would even know it. I mean, they would, but you know what I mean. 10 out of 10. You ask me today, 6 out of 10. Because now I know what it takes to do this. And I want to do something bigger. I told our team today, when we are successful at achieving our mission as a company at scale, we don't just become an industry adjacent to fitness and healthcare, where people can go to empower a life of freedom without compromise. That's not what we are. It's what we do. What we are is the example that gets studied, that during a time of AI proliferation and the replacement of people by robots and technology and maximizing of margins by eliminating people, we chose to go the other way. And we chose to be a company who would be successful as a result of having great people, not by replacing them. And people will wonder, how the fuck did they do that in the 2020s when everybody else was turning to computers? And it will get studied, and it will influence policy, and it will influence other big companies. And the employee of the year or the employee of the month at the sales company will stop being the guy who puts his family aside, puts his health aside for the pursuit of money only, and it will start becoming the person who embodies all of the core values of that company, including making them a ton of money. That's the impact that we will have.
Some powerful words right there. I agree with most of it. One of the things I want to...
Where do we disagree?
Yeah, I definitely disagree on one thing. And I actually think you will too.
Okay.
But then you said you want to do something bigger. But the bigger thing hasn't taken place yet, which tells me that as a child, you actually were raised with vision. You were raised to believe in your imagination and create. You were probably the kid that could be in the sandbox building things without really knowing where it could go. And so I actually challenge that a little bit. I think that our experiences play a role in that. But your parents gave you the greatest gift, which is eternal belief.
Yeah, my
and
parents...
now you're doing that with your customers. You're believing in them.
I wish I disagreed with myself. I wish you shifted a belief on me there. The reason I'm saying you didn't is because I think that everything you said is true. Everything. Mark Bell says it really well. I was gifted with a performance-enhancing drug that was parents who love me unconditionally. And they taught me to believe I can do anything, and I just chose to believe them. That doesn't mean I could envision everything. It means I could achieve whatever I could envision. And so I could envision this much. When I first started getting into business, I could envision having a really successful CrossFit gym and a really successful clinic and then opening more CrossFit gyms. That was it. That was the vision. That's as big as I could think. When I got there and when I started having CrossFit Games champions, Olympic medalists, professional baseball players fly out to my clinic and then go home and follow a program I wrote for them. Like, this is crazy. I can do something more than what I thought I could do before. I can teach gyms and trainers how to do what I do. I can help people online. I actually went out of order. I can help people online. I still didn't think I could teach trainers or coaches. I wasn't even thinking about gyms. It was me training the clients online that led to the coaches coming to me, which obviated, oh yeah, of course. This thing isn't even going to be a success because of what we do. It's going to be a success because of what the people who we mentor do. Mm-hmm. And then I still wasn't thinking about gym owners because I didn't fancy myself the most successful one. But then gym owners started asking, so I started mentoring gym owners. And I didn't think about opening our own location until they told me we needed to. And so while I agree with you that the vision and the privilege and the permission to have it was not only afforded me, but beaten to me by my parents mentally. as a child, and still as a 40-year-old, they tell me I can do anything. But how to use that vision is built upon the experiences. And that's what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Success and greatness is in the agency of others. And you're doing a great job of just leaning into those experiences. And what the vision that I'm seeing is it's almost like an escape room. You're like, I'm going to do so much greatness in this room. And then it unlocks a bigger room. It's almost vacation. It's the game within the game.
Yes, we are.
And I remember specifically for me, obviously you're going to become an adult by sheer age and time on earth. You're going to mature, and physiologically things are going to change a little bit by gaining years. But there was a specific instance for me where when my father was going through terminal brain cancer, and I remembered my mom opening the first medical bill associated with his treatment and the look on her face. That for me was that defining moment where it was like, oh, this is where you go from, in my words, being a boy and then becoming a man. It's not just about me anymore. It's not just about coaching and the services and being an athlete and all the things of that time. Now it's, I need to figure out how to provide for my family at all costs, because I saw the level of pain and fear in her eyes, which then forced me to then level up. And that was the story that unlocked on a personal level when you talked about the difference between adulthood and becoming a man. Does that track a little bit with you? And is there a story?
Yeah. And one of my current core beliefs is that a man should have the capacity to provide.
Like that.
Doesn't mean he has to. It doesn't mean, like, if your wife or husband or whatever you're married to makes millions of dollars a year and they say you should just stay home and take care of the kids and you like it and you want to, then you should. And there's no judgment for that. But you damn well should be able to provide if called upon to. That's part of being a man. For me, I left boyhood and entered manhood the day I walked into my kitchen in my house, my galley kitchen in the little apartment that my wife was paying for because I wasn't making any money and she was. And sobbing, crying, apologized to her for losing $13,000 of $15,000 that she had saved for us to one day buy a house, because I was running a CrossFit style event company and the event lost $26,000 and I didn't know what I was doing in business and we didn't have any working capital, but I did have a business partner. So we were each on the hook for $13,000 of the $26,000 that we lost. And I had put none of the money in our bank account away. That was not me. And I was afraid that my wife would leave me. I was maybe even more afraid that she wouldn't. And that she would stop respecting me, stop being inspired by me, stop believing in me. I was more afraid of that than that she would leave me. And I walked into the kitchen and I told her and I apologized. And she, with all of the grace that she has, hugged me and told me, "You're my penny stock and I believe in you." I had told her in my vows at our wedding that I was a penny stock that she was investing in early and that it would be worth it. And she reminded me of that. Having her believe in me in that way, in that moment, forced all of the boy out of me and forced all of the man in me because she deserved it.
Love that, man. I wanted to take a moment to soak that in for a moment, because it is a gift that I think you have. I don't think it's just Jesse Itzler calling you a psychopath, that's who you are. I actually think you have this eternal gift that allows for people to believe in you.
It's funny you say that.
How do you...
Yep. So when I was a kid, I remember vividly my father coming into my bedroom when I was feeling badly about myself for something. And I remember him coming in and telling me, "You have a choice. You could feel sorry for yourself or you could do something about it." And I remember like I could go there right now, thinking to myself, forget about what I'm going to do about this thing. Where does he get that steadfast confidence from? Because I want it. I want that. That's everything I was missing in that moment, was the self-esteem that he had to know those were my choices when I couldn't see them for myself. That's everything I ever wanted. I had no idea how I would ever get it. I believe it was in me because clearly it's in him, right? And part of me is him. And it was brought out of me when shit really hit the fan in Hurricane Sandy. I was still a boy, but I learned what I was capable of enduring and that I could handle things that others couldn't. And I knew this is a gift I have. And so if I have the gift to endure things that others cannot, when things happen that other people can't endure, I need to step forward. I need to be the one who takes it for them. That's part of my gift. Making sure that they are always safe, that they are inspired. I didn't understand it at the time, but I understood that I'm a wartime guy. You want me when things go wrong. That's what I understood. That repeated when I felt uninspired by my professional life in 2017, when I was finally making a living and I left it. This is a year after I walked into the kitchen and apologized to my wife. I made $150,000 or so that year for the first time ever, up from 30 the year before, all without any tactics except becoming a better person and pursuing it relentlessly. I told my wife, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not inspired by it. I feel like I'm a Ferrari at the bottom of a lake. All the power, all the sex appeal, none of the ability to use it. And so I left. And in January of 2018, I entered a world in which if nothing changed, I was going to make $3,000 again. So I told my wife, I'll see you in February. I have to do this for us. And in the month of January, I sold over $85,000 worth of new business and proved to myself again, you are exactly who you believe you are. When things get hard, you show up. And so now I'm unshakable in that knowledge of who I am. And
I think the confidence that came from the actions that you took to build a resume that you could look back on and say, hey, I've done these things. I'm a proven track record. I'm not just shouting affirmations in the mirror and reading self-help books. Reading about the thing is not doing the thing. Talking about the thing is not doing the thing. You got to do the thing. And you did it, and not just did you prove it to yourself, but you then continue to prove it for others. What is something you did as a child that you no longer do as an adult? For many, that answer is play. RX Smart Gear allows for your daily workouts to turn into play and exploration. In my training, the Frevo rope gives me access to a versatile rope that I can take with me wherever I go. On the road, at the beach, to the park, or playing at home, RX Smart Gear jump ropes fit my needs. We at Allsmith trust RX Smart Gear. Their gear is always reliable and gives me peace of mind that I will have top-notch equipment to support my health and fitness journey. Hop on over to RX Smart Gear and use the discount code ALLSMITH to shop their latest cutting-edge gear. Have your gear work with you and not against you.
Well, Bryce, character is not developed, it's revealed.
Yeah.
And it's something I didn't realize I always had it because I took things for granted in the past. I remember having no idea how to fight, being 103 pounds soaking wet, and going after a guy who ended up getting drafted 4th or 3rd overall in the NFL as an offensive lineman just 4 years later, because he was treating my teammate in a way that I didn't respect. That's who I've always been. I didn't always understand it. I didn't have the awareness to reflect on what I was doing. I didn't know how to think about what I was thinking about, but I always did it. And I tell people who I have the privilege to mentor that the thing that makes us great is knowing the things that other people could say make us less than great and owning them. I'm not extremely organized. I've never built an 8-figure company, annual revenue. I went through a year and a half where we lost over $1 million. I've lost sleep at night, not knowing if I'm going to be able to pay our staff. I've mortgaged my house to open a new business. I've had nightmares that my daughter is getting interviewed in her 60s and 70s, and they're asking her, you have everything you want. Why are you still working so hard? And she said, because I watched my dad work really hard my entire life and never make it. And yet I'm comfortable to tell you, I can help you if you want to live a life of freedom without compromise in your business or physically. Now, if you decide to come and work with me or our team, you do so knowing that I'm imperfect, knowing that I'm aware I'm imperfect, knowing that I've made errors, knowing I'll do it again. And so I have nothing to hide, which makes me untouchable.
They fit and they evolved.
Yep.
It kind of pops on our conversation so far.
I want to be clear that that's a belief of mine. not a core
Okay.
value. I think it comes out of the core values. And Active Life's core values reflect my own. This, at the end of the day, this company has to be in some way a reflection of me. And so I comfortably say that I share the same core values as our company with some tweaks to the language, because instead of a we or things that are in the nature of business, they're mine for me. And so those are, first and foremost, live a life that inspires others. I think it's important that the way I show up affords other people the luxury of knowing I could learn something from that guy, and he would want to learn something from me. Number two, reveal the exceptional every person I come across. So in the company, it's a we. That's why I paused. I was trying to think, if I know this one is company and not personal, and I need to change the language. It's reveal the exceptional in every person I come across. The exceptional is already there. I don't need to put it in them. I need to help them decide they're exceptional and point out where they're exceptional. The third one is a relentless commitment to the mission. Relentlessly commit to the mission. My personal mission statement is all rooted in the legacy I'm going to leave, the relationship I have with my wife, and the mentorship I provide to my kids. I pursue that relentlessly. Because without that, if that started to fall apart, my focus on Active Life and our mission statement to help people live a life of freedom without compromise would fall by the wayside. So I am relentless in my commitment to myself and my mission. And then I expect our team and me to be relentless in our mission. The fourth is balance is only found in doing world-class work. Work, to be clear, is whatever you do. It does not have to be occupation. My wife is a world-class mom. She's a world-class wife. If our work is anything less than world-class, we will fail to get where we're aiming to go as people. The reason I believe balance can only be found in world-class work is I believe that people who expout about work-life balance use it as a crutch to justify their mediocrity. What's happening is, I don't know, I just feel like I need more time away from the office. I'm spending too much time at work. That's because you're not inspired by what you're working on. That's it. And people who are inspired by what they're working on, whether it's personal or business, when they're doing it, they're fulfilled. When they're not doing it because it's not time to do it, they're able to be present in wherever they are because they know that they've done everything they needed to do in the other thing. It means if you did everything you needed to do today and your job is done at a world-class pace, you can leave at 3 o'clock. You don't have to wait till 5 because you know world-class management of your time is being efficient. You want to be an amazing parent. You want to be an amazing father, husband, whatever. And you know that your wife would love you to surprise her today at 3:30. Well, you finished everything you needed to do by 3. Get out. Go be world-class at the other thing. That's world-class. I could be mistaken. I believe it's 0.27% makes you twice as good in a year.
That's dope.
Yeah. And I agree with you, by the way. The reason that the word balance is in there is because I want to be abundantly clear about who I'm talking to and what I'm talking about. I want to make sure people know if you come to me and say that your life is missing balance, I'm going to ask you where you're not pursuing world class. That's going to be the question. Because I think more frequently the language is around whether life is in balance and less frequently around whether life is in harmony. And I agree with you. I think harmony describes what I'm describing.
Mm-hmm. Totally
the last core value is think bigger, which is the simplest way to put it is if we go through the core values top to bottom, live a life that inspires others. How do I do that? You reveal the exceptional in everyone you come across. Well, how would I do that? By being relentlessly committed to the mission of helping people live a life of freedom without compromise. Well, that's hard. Yeah, if you want to be in balance, it's only going to happen in doing world-class work. Work like this? Like, is this world-class? Think bigger. That's how we walk through our core values. Thank you. They are. Let me start by saying the reason that we are adjacent is we used to consider ourselves the bridge between fitness and healthcare. We would say our tagline for years was we bridge the gap between fitness and healthcare. CrossFit Health plagiarized it, and I figured they can have it. It's shitty. We're not a bridge. We're a landmass of our own. People don't want to get shuttled between fitness and healthcare. People want to land somewhere and call it home. That's us. So I believe right now, if we look at everything that we can control, let's start from the place of assuming the healthcare provider, the doctor, is in the industry for the right reason. The doctor wants to help the patient. Even if the way that they decide to help the patient is out of alignment with what you and I would want them to do with us, they want to help the patient. They think they're doing the best job. Again, it goes to awareness. Yeah. So if we start there, I think that the best way that we can improve the American healthcare system is to stop needing it. And who does that belong to? Who does the responsibility of helping the world not need the medical system anymore belong to? It's fitness, man. I say these things all the time, and I want people listening to this to know this. This is the most, I hope it's the thing everyone leaves this meeting, this podcast with. If we want a better medical system, we need to deload it. We need to make it unnecessary for most people to use it. The people who are best situated to do that exist today in fitness. And if fitness is going to be able to do that, what we need to do collectively is look at ourselves and ask, why haven't we yet? Where can we do better? If we fail to look at ourselves as fitness professionals and say, where can we, the collective we, do better? Then all we're doing is pissing into the wind and hoping something changes. It's not raining. You're getting wet because you're peeing on yourself. We're complaining and nothing is changing. CrossFit has a community, except amongst CrossFit gym owners in the same town. Don't ask them about the other gym in town. Commercial gyms, they want to help everyone get fit. Unless you show up, then you're a problem. We need only 25% of you to show up. We have the best trainers in the world. And they work for $19 an hour on average. None of this lines up, man.
None of it.
We need to do better. And by a margin of magnitudes better. And then the medical industry will become largely irrelevant. And then it will become excellent. But it starts with us.
I definitely agree with that. I guess my big question associated with this topic is a huge argument that I've heard is, well, how do we give credibility to the fitness industry when you can stop being a painter on a Friday, go do a CrossFit Level 1 seminar on Saturday and Sunday, and then come back with...
We can't. It doesn't... The fitness, Bryce. Well, let's start here. And then I'm going to need to jump, and I would love to come back on with you again and do this.
Yeah,
this is great. Well, let's block out a longer time slot next time.
Totally.
Who can you control, Bryce?
Bryce can control Bryce.
Okay. Everything you just said is true. The only thing the fitness industry can control is the fitness industry. So let's get so good that the problems of the medical industry become the ones that people are looking at, not ours. Let's stop being commoditized. Let's stop having it be so easy to get into this industry when we are in control for 60 minutes at a time of other people's physiology and biomechanics. Let's make it hard. Let's look in instead of out. You're right. There are doctors who suck. They're really smart people, and they're not living the life. They're not the first core value, live an inspiring life. And I can't do anything about them. That's why my core value is live a life that inspires others. I have to live that life. So the fitness industry, if it was to adopt my personal core values, be inspiring to other industries, reveal the excellent, the exceptional in everybody else. Let's have fitness talking about what's great about the medical industry, not what's bad about it. Let's start talking about what's great about it so that we celebrate the people who are doing the things we want to do. People will run towards that. Let's be relentless in our commitment to the mission that we say we're on. Let's acknowledge that the only thing that is good enough is world class. And let's think bigger about what we can possibly do. If the fitness industry collectively decides to adopt those core values, we, not I, we do something that changes the trajectory of society forever.
I love that, man. Let's wrap it up right there. For those of you listening, thank you so much for tuning in with my conversation with Dr. Sean Pastuch. To summarize, man, control the controllable. Be so good they can't ignore you. And that's as a collective within the fitness industry. Attract, don't necessarily chase. And provide freedom without compromise so that you can live life on your terms. And your body, your mind, your soul, and your spirituality are not limitations as to the story that you want to write. Thanks so much for joining me, man. Any final thoughts?
I'd love to do it again. Okay.
I appreciate you, man. For those of you observing on YouTube or listening on Apple or Spotify, please rate, review, subscribe, and share with your friends. And remember, greatness is forged, not found. Till next time, guys.